Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Sabina Chege is having a very important message for the people of this country, and most importantly, William Samoei Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza fraternity. The events that led the kind of lobby and spirited effort that was put by Mount Kenya politicians is a very good signal to Kenya Kwanza and William Ruto's deep state that those statements that were once said that you cannot buy a Kikuyu, you can only rent one, were not just mere political jokes, but it is a matter of time that they will come to pass. Because, in my considered opinion, I have been talking to people, and one thing that many people were even telling me during the campaigns is that, Kevin, look here, people who support William Ruto, they only support him because of there is no option, there is no alternative, but Mount Kenya will most likely regroup. So today, I will look at this holistically, and the signal that Sabina Chege is sending to William Ruto is in this tweet that she just released after Kanini Kega was elected in Yala. She shared the photos with Kanini Kega and said, "Well fought out, well deserved, my brother and friend Kanini Kega. To all who voted for him, and most importantly, thank you to Mount Kenya MPs from across the political divide for uniting on this cause. Asanteni sana. Congratulations to honorable members. Go represent Kenya." Sabina Chege is saying something that I mentioned in my previous video, that when Rift Valley members of parliament hatched a deal with the Western Wing to blackmail, or rather to drink, to make sure they lock out Mount Kenya from Eala, Sabina Chege led a very spiritual lobby on behalf with Kanini Kega to whip Mount Kenya members of parliament, and both from Azimio and Kenya Kwanza came out to support Kanini Kega. And this signals to a possibility that politics is not about what you read in the newspaper and what you consume in the mainstream media. It is not what is said in those well-organized panel discussions. Politics is what happens behind closed doors. That is where there is the real politics. What you cannot read, but you can only interpret. And just from the conduct of Mount Kenya during this Eala nomination, I can tell you, and this is a very clear signal, that Mount Kenya will likely regroup. But I would want to divert a bit and not lose the flow of thought on why there is a possibility of regrouping. Because many people have always looked at it this way, that William Ruto went for young politicians in Mountain, and these young politicians coalesced around him. He supported them and whipped them politically to spill a very dangerous venom against former President Uhuru Kenyatta after that fallout. And when these young politicians, the reason why it was most likely possible to use them is because most of them did not have the big ambition. They were just eyeing positions. Someone wants governor, senator, MP, and so on. And he used that opportunity, of course, because there was Jubilee. So when there was that mass exodus of Jubilee, he actually inherited people that were pro Uhuru Kenyatta. And so even the interest of this group was for them to get power. Leave alone the political conversation about Hustler Nation. No one coalesced around President Ruto for the sake of uplifting Mwananchi. If there's something to go by, they coalesced around William Ruto so that they could also get power. No, someone wants to be Speaker of the National Assembly, someone wants to be majority leader, someone wants to be a governor, senator, MP, and that. And so they needed that UDA euphoria. And so that euphoria, they got power, and then dust settled. So as now government takes shape, we've seen some very unpopular decisions being made from what from what Sabina Chege is saying. That contrary to what many people have always thought, that Mount Kenya cannot come together. On this one, they were together. Whether it was based on regional, where maybe someone whipped leaders from Nyeri or from Ranga or from counties, whether it was based on counties, but there was an element of the unity from the mountain, the grouping. That unity, that small unity, is what William Ruto would not want to see. A united people, when they're united, you cannot rule them. If anything, they have the numbers. So today, I want to give it a very holistic approach and tell you one thing. I have listened to Kanini Kega, not Kanini Kega, Ruto-Gachagua saying that there were business leaders, the Gitongas, who were complaining that Uhuru Kenyatta destroyed their businesses. And so when this government came in, it came with some freedom. Now, with this freedom, maybe these businesses were revived, their tax were negotiated and so. But there is one question that people never saw in what Uhuru Kenyatta was doing. Is it true that Uhuru Kenyatta was going after these leaders because they were supporting William Ruto? Or there is some truth to it that they were actually evading paying taxes? Were there genuine concerns about their tax profile? Or we were now looking at that. So with that group coming into play, the biggest fallout will be fallout with that business mogul, because the same games that they were playing to evade tax and to get to the eyes of DCI will still emerge. And that, the first group that is going to fall out with William Ruto is that the Gitongas, the business community. Now, that is the group that will first regroup. Any other interests can change, but commercial interests are there. So that group will most likely regroup. May not have big of an impact, but there is what I see as something that will bring that regrouping, and it will have a political impact, is the blame game currency is becoming depleted. The blame game has been easy. That go and tell the people in the mountain, and go and tell the people of Kenya that former President Uhuru Kenyatta was the problem. Mudavadi warned, it's becoming depleted. When that blame game is over, every other leader will be judged on his scorecard. It will no longer be on Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, my position is this, that President Ruto made a blunder to deface Uhuru Kenyatta legacy, because if I were him, it was not going to change anything. And in fact, the people of Mount Kenya, there is a perception that I think he was a bit misadvised, that Gema hated William Ruto. That's not it. They hated Uhuru Kenyatta. That's not it. It was nothing like a hate. But I think the mountain was feeling that, okay, there is a transition, and so we must have that transition. No one was hating Uhuru Kenyatta. So the blunder that Tutu made to have that in his mind that okay, Uhuru Kenyatta is hated, so everything defaces the legacy of that. If you would build on Uhuru Kenyatta legacy, it will be very easy. Even now to tell the mountain that look here, Uhuru had done this, so I picked up from here, I'm now doing this, and this, and I think it will take me time. It will be better. But then with defacing Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy, you seems to tell the people of Kenya that we're starting from nowhere. If you start from nowhere, you'll get in the middle of nowhere. And changing political interests are really going into it. But there is one thing to it. Raila is technically making a political exit. I am making this with a lot of caution. If you ask me, Raila is making a political exit. You know, there are people who think, and we're waiting for the day Raila is going to say, sasa mimi, sitaenda kuwania. He's slowly making that exit. You know, like Uhuru Kenyatta was making an exit from the Kenyan political scene. There is no way he called a press conference and said, you know, look here, I'm going to do this. The same way Uhuru is moving to the international stage and seems to be making an exit, the same way Raila is making that exit. You see now the daughter is coming in. And if you look at the voice of the daughter is talking about a generational change. We'll try to look at that. The daughter is talking about a generational change. And Raila is simply obeying that transition. You know, the party's almost here. And with Raila making a technical exit in 2027, consequential, but I don't see him on the ballot. Or let me make it, if Raila makes a presidential contest exit, that ends the politics of antagonism in Mount Kenya. Without that politics of antagonism, they realized in 2022, they made it against Uhuru Kenyatta. The last previous elections, it was always against Raila Odinga. Now, Uhuru is out, Raila is making an exit. The antagonism doesn't work, the people are going to decide. And for them to decide, you must reinvent another narrative. You must reinvent another unity of purpose. If this 2022, the unity of purpose was to send Uhuru home, that purpose is no longer there. Maybe it will now go to a Mount Kenya affair. Ruto's public credit is going to give him harsh judgment. And this point is very important for me because I've always asked this. The same president, you're talking about disbanding SSU. You're talking about police, deploying people in Nairobi deploying the GSU in Nairobi. The same president, you're talking about, CBC, everything. So I've always felt this, I've always seen this, that president is making a big blunder by taking responsibility for everything. You have a CS, you have interior CS. That ministry has 3 people: Kindiki, Mudavadi, and Gachagua. But we see president throwing his weight. Personally, I'm doing this. CBC, personally, I'm doing, and the minister is not doing anything. So you wonder, are we just having a shadow cabinet while the president is running the show everything, and he's in media every day? With that visibility and the kind of management where he seems to be running the show himself, most likely, when things go wrong, he will be held responsible. When you give ministers your powers to run it, you can easily go to the people and tell the people that Neli Wapate was in the Afanyi Kazi. Remember at agriculture when Uhuru Kenyatta was showing Mwangi Kinyuru the door, he actually felt that Mwangi Kinyuru was not doing something right. So give people power, and just the way you've given financial autonomy to the police, give the ministries the autonomy of policy so that they make those statements. They speak on behalf of government. Here's a situation where even a speaker of the National Assembly, deputy speaker, everyone is just saying, we have decided the police are supposed to put on, uniform with the camera. I'm like, no, just leave other things to other people so that will not be judged on everything. Government can always fail. It's not the, even if Kenya Kwanza fails, it's not the first one that fails to achieve. Uhuru Kenyatta never supplied the laptops, and it's there. That's my take on why Mount Kenya will regroup.